What's up, everybody? My name is Christopher, this is Leighton, and we're joined with a very special guest for today on the Oosthuisen Show. This is our longtime friend, Bethanie Mattek-Sands.
Damn, Chris, I've known you since you've been like a
Yeah,
toddler.
yay big. Well, I've been working out with you guys since I was this big.
Yeah, hey, you've gotten a lot bigger. Look at these muscles now. Damn, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, well, you know,
When I first met you, you were just like this skinny little thing. Not sure if you could even lift one of the weights.
Well, I've been doing some push-ups. I've been, getting my Rocky on in the gym here. And the biggest thing is, honestly, now that I've started talking to girls, it's been more of a priority to.
That's the incentive.
That's the core incentive, to be honest.
How's it going? How's it going for you?
I do alright. I get out there, I do my best.
Put yourself out there.
I put myself out there.
Okay.
There's some apps for that, so they say.
Alright, make it easier.
I'm on Farmers Only, Christian Mingle.
Okay, alright.
You're going to get us into trouble here, for sure. And of course, you notice since he's been working out doing all this girl stuff, the shooting is kind of like diminished.
I mean, but I've noticed you.
Sometimes,
oh,
not all the time.
Although the important one.
Too bad I'm like in the middle here.
So anyway, for those of you who don't know, Bethanie is obviously our close friend, but is a pro tennis player, #1 doubles player in the world. She's an Olympic gold medalist, done an enormous amount of stuff, been playing tennis since she was a kid. We're actually going to bring up some of those things, and we're going to talk about some of the mindset behind it, because there are a lot of common things between our sport, the shooting sport, and obviously what Bethanie does.
Yep.
27 titles,
There we go.
8 Grand Slams between doubles and mixed doubles.
Yep.
I'm amazed you even know that, because
Damn.
you're not the one waking up at 3 in the morning, but that's impressive. I'm
going to say this right now on camera, on the podcast, that you are probably my biggest you have watched every single match I think that I played, whether I've been in Tokyo, Australia, Hong Kong, Europe, didn't matter. You were waking up and I was getting a text from you at 2 a.m. So from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate that, because it's hard to keep up with me.
He's like the traveling dad that goes to all of like the soccer games and so forth.
I appreciate it though. I mean, you've always like paid attention to the match, and we've had some good conversations afterwards too. After losses and wins
and I don't tell you how you should be playing that game.
I
stay out of that.
You haven't made that mistake.
I've been well groomed by you over the years. Like,
Justin's still learning. Can you believe this?
He still hasn't figured
that
out.
He's still now.
I know he doesn't text me back during the match anymore. I noticed that change as well. And I'm pretty sure that's because Mama Bear was looking at him in the stands saying, dude, get off your phone.
Listen, all I'm saying is when I'm playing a stadium match, I mean, tennis, it's an individual sport unless you're playing doubles, but if you're playing singles, you really have the eye contact with your team, because you're not allowed to have a coach on the court. They're not even allowed to talk to you. So really all you can get is the energy from their body language and their eyes. And I remember a couple times looking up at Justin, and he's texting, and I was so mad. But I will say on the other side of it, he's also been trying to coach me and tell me what to do out there, and I've gotten mad at that as well. I'm like, no. I know what I'm doing. Thanks, babe.
Yeah, and if you haven't figured out, Justin's her husband and a really good friend of ours as well. Really cool guy. Bubs is his nickname.
Bubs, yeah.
Whenever I want to get on his skin, I text him as Bubs. Hey, this and so. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, because we have such a cross variety of people watching this, and shooters, and there's people that are in the dog world, and then obviously people that we're friends with and so on, and we're hoping to obviously get some more tennis people as well watching. But I want to talk about, one of the toughest things in our games, and you've actually alluded to this as well, because I send you my videos every now and again, and when you have time, I know because it's crazy your schedule, but when you have time, you watch them and you say, oh, this looked good, that looked good, etc. And you've often brought up the thing about movement, right?
Yep.
And movement, and I often imagine like I'm almost in a tennis game, when you're sitting waiting for a serve. I remember you telling me like you don't have time to react to the serve. You've got to try and anticipate and work ahead. And for us, that's staging our stages, because it's just too fast, right? So how do you kind of like prepare yourself for that, like to explode out of that position?
Well, at least for tennis, it's about routine and pattern. This is what we practice. I want to kind of say the match is different, but it's not. I'm not going to serve differently. I'm not going to hit my ground strokes differently in practice than I am in a match. So getting ready on my match days, you still will have that extra adrenaline, and I know that. Like, I'm not a big caffeine person. I have plenty of natural energy. So I just do my regular breakfast routine depending on what time during the day or night matches I'm playing. Mostly for me, getting ready is about my food. Like, where am I going to eat, where I'm not going to be stuffed when I go on the court or lose energy in the middle of the match. Once I got that down, I actually like to calm down before I go in the matches. I know a lot of people, you see these sports videos where everyone's getting amped, everyone's got this pump up music, Rocky going out there. you'd be surprised to know that a lot of times I'm maybe listening to Enya or something really calming, because I actually want to be energized and alert, but I want to be calm. Because sometimes when you're rushing and trying too hard and trying to be fast, you're actually slower, and most of the time you're going to make a mistake. I mean, I feel like that can go across a lot of different platforms, not just tennis.
And I'm really hoping my son is listening to this, because when we travel to matches, we don't say one word to each other on the drive out from the hotel to the range, because he's got his headset on and he's bouncing around the chair next to me in the car.
But it's different people, right? It's different.
It's different. I will say that.
So like for me, I take like pre-workout like before every single session. I swear to God, I wish I was joking about that, or not. I don't wish I was joking because it works. Like and honestly, like it changes my focus. Like I feel like I'm able to see things. See more things happening.
Colors?
No, I swear to God.
I think that's one of the side effects, actually.
I hope so. I hope so, because it works. Because if I don't, I like instantly know, and I feel like I'm not 100%.
But I think everyone needs to find a pre-match routine and stick to that.
Right.
Like for me, it is different songs. Let's say I'm playing at night and I'm starting to get a little bit tired. I have a 10 p.m. match. That's when I'll play something where I want to get a little amped, because that's usually when I'm going to be falling asleep. So I think, like, if we back up a couple more steps, it's really getting to know yourself. At the end of the day, you have to know when you're nervous. You have to know when you're excited. You know when you're disappointed when you miss. You know you're pumped when you hit a winner. Like, all these different emotions, it doesn't matter what they are, as long as you are aware of them and can use them to get your result. That's going to be the way. And that's why it can be different for every single person.
Yeah.
Now, you know, when I was a little younger than I am now, before I had all this gray hair.
You're a young buck. You've had gray hair for a while, though.
I have. Since I started dating, by the way. That was the... Yeah.
Oh, is that the correlation?
I used to really struggle with keeping my I don't want to say my temper, because it wasn't really temper, but just keeping my emotions and my mood under control. You know, in our game, it's like, you know, you get ticked off about something, and you walk back and you'll throw your magazine down, or you had a miss on a target or something to that effect. But you've had to deal with similar things like that. I mean, in tennis, it's the outbursts, McEnroe and Serena, and those things where they were not happy about something and they just blew up. And a lot of times I wonder whether it's not a strategy for them. Now you used to be a lot more out, like, how can I put it without, like,
where I would express more emotion on the court, more negative emotion on the court. Okay,
right.
I'll agree with that.
And now you've over the last few years, you've put a lot of work into controlling that emotion. Talk a little bit about that.
So I don't like the word controlling your emotion, because I feel like we're kind of putting it down somewhere. And we're not using it. If there is negative emotion, it needs to come up. It needs to be addressed. Ideally, you want to do that in practice, or you want to reevaluate after a match. Hey, I noticed that this emotion came up. What am I really pissed at? Okay, missing a shot. What I miss shots all the time. Why am I really pissed at that? So I do this, my process is asking myself questions to dig deeper and deeper until I kind of get to where I was just, the bottom might be, I just want everyone to love me and think I'm the greatest. And it's a far stretch from, man, I was pissed I missed that shot. But once you can kind of deal with those deeper, it's like peeling an onion. Once you can deal with those deeper layers, you'll notice that those kind of uncontrolled emotions come out less and less in matches. But if they're coming out right now, I don't like telling people to say, hey, ignore them, or hey, push them to the side, because they will always be there until you address them.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's very hard. It's tough.
But I think once and I know you say it's hard, but once you start doing it, and once you see the benefit of digging deeper, you will be empowered. You will
notice how Bethany changes that. What she's saying is, I'm full of shit, and I've got to stop thinking that way. I've got to think this way. See, that's the difference here, is that, you know, you as a professional,
because if it was
but I do listen.
If it was anyone else that was like, yeah, you're being full of shit, then
I won't listen.
Then you'd be like, fuck
but
you.
Bethany tells me that. Actually, I've had other people tell me that, because you'll text me stuff and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do it this way. And then people are like, and he does the same thing.
Yeah,
World Championships in France. He was blowing up a stage. He made a mistake and it wasn't a big deal. And I kept saying, dude, get it under control. You've got 3 more stages to shoot. And he just melted. And then another guy, Bill Drummond, comes walking up to him and says exactly what I just said. And Chris
I was so pissed.
Oh yeah, okay,
I was so pissed. Like,
yeah, but you were listening, and I'm like, what the heck?
I was more, I think, listening like out of respect. It was not that I don't respect you. It was more listening like okay, I'll listen to what you say, but I'm not gonna actually listen.
Hey, you're 21 now. I don't pay any of your fees and expenses anymore.
Man.
You know how that works, right? I want to talk to you about something else that you also have had a huge impact on me. Is that when you're playing, you're never out of a game, never out of a match. You can be 5-1, 5-love down in a set, and in your mind you're like, and I remember you've actually told me this multiple times, and you've developed a reputation on the tour of being somebody that, I mean, if I was playing against you, I would study all those things, because it didn't matter how close I was to beating you, I would know that there's a chance you're going to come back against me, because that's a substantial chance. And I remember you telling me one day, like, all I've got to do is win the next point, then win the next game, and then maybe one more game, and then the doubt starts creeping in. And in sport, we often talk about teams that can't close it out, or a player that can't close it out. They're up, you know, all they got to do is get the last couple of shots, maybe in golf or whatever. I forget which player it was now. In fact, I think it was a South African player that like 4 or 5 putted in the Masters a number of years ago. Remember that? And all of that is just basically being able to control your emotion. Now you talk about it because you're never out of the game, right? You always. How do you kind of remind yourself of that? Or how do you
stay focused in those moments where there's like
knowing that
no help almost?
You know.
Well, I think at this point in my career, I recognize what's helping me and what's not. This angry, negative emotion, it's taking me away from what I actually want to do. So it's easy. For me. Right. It's easy for me to stay focused on what's necessary to win. Is it 100% guaranteed that I'm going to come back and win? No, but I'm giving myself the best chance. And I feel like it's kind of picking the phrases and words that work for you. So if all it takes for you to kind of get out of that funk is to say, hey, I'm going to put myself in the best position possible to succeed in this moment. And you take a little of that angry emotion out, and you're like, all right, well, I can do that. You make it doable. You don't say, hey, I gotta win, because a lot of times when you talk about teams or players that can't close it out, they're so close and they can't quite close it out. They've kind of taken their eye off what they're doing, and they're looking at the end. Now go on the other side for the team that's behind. They're just thinking, I gotta just make one more basket. I'm down by 10. Okay, this 3-point. What am I doing? They're zoning a little bit more in the moment. So now the momentum, let's say they come back, and let's say it's even. I talk a lot about this even game when it's in tennis. And that's where the momentum is. No matter what, I've seen more people, let's say you were down 5-0, it's 5-all. This is the game where I've seen that person on the comeback trail all of a sudden say, well, now I got to win one more game. Before he was just kind of, or she was just saying, like, fight for this point. I'm going to do it this way. And now all of a sudden, the only difference, there was no game change. There was nobody's making different shots. I'm not talking about any of that. Skill levels have been exactly the same.
Talk about that in a second.
It's just an emotional and a mental shift right there, and that's all it is. And the person that knows themselves better and their emotions better will have a higher chance of succeeding out of that position.
Well, and it's funny because I remember I was at watching one of your games, and you were literally had one more point to win the match, and I was like, come on, B, one more point. And Bethany or Justin said, like, no, like, don't. She doesn't care. She's not listening to you anyways. But
every once in a while I've heard that, and I'm like, this guy saying that.
Yeah, because exactly what you were saying, and I think like it's interesting because even though we're talking about sport right now, like that translates very easily to all other aspects of life.
Yes.
Like there's so many times like in life where it feels like we're down. There feels like there's no hope to get to that winning, to get to that success point, but putting that into your mind does not do anything to help you. You have to change your mindset in order to...
You overwhelm yourself. Like, just think of something, let's say there's this huge project that you want and you're overwhelmed because you haven't studied at all, or you haven't even started. Now, go into the process of breaking down some things that you got to do bit by bit. 20 minutes. Okay, I'm going to do this part. And then pretty soon you look back and you're like, damn, I'm halfway there. And that's kind of the process. Obviously, you want to see in the future. You want to have an idea where you're going. Yeah. But the path there, listen, everyone wants to know the path to success. I'm here to tell you there's 100. Mm-hmm. It's just you figuring out what your way is. Yeah. And it's knowing yourself. It's not, you might be inspired by something I say or what your dad says. It might hit you in a different way. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you, how real you can make that emotion. Here, I'll give you guys a little trick. So something that I do, you guys have heard of affirmations, right? You've heard a lot of people talking about, hey, I'm going to look in the mirror. I am great. I am powerful. I'm a champion. I'm a winner. Okay, that's great. I don't view it as a hype mechanism. I view it as being really honest with myself. So let's say something like this, like, hey, I have blonde hair. See, there's no resistance to that. I will not disagree with you. There's no disagreements coming out from inside. Now let me say, I can beat Serena Williams. Ooh, now notice what is there? Yeah, it's possible, but there's something that gets in the way. Mm-hmm. You can do this with a multitude of questions. I'm a winner. I'm a champion. I can finish this. So I fall asleep. I am because but here's the key. listen to what your reaction is. That's the truth. We can justify anything. We can because as adults we've learned to be like, hey, we should be positive. This is the right thing to say, but we don't really feel it. Right. So how you work on that is going through things like that, affirmations, and noticing where you are, not in a judging way, just in an honest, hey, I'm not maybe I'm a winner, maybe I can't look myself in the mirror and think that right now. Okay, but find your truth. What do you think? You know what, and
be honest with yourself.
Yeah, and be honest.
So is there a point where, like, say you have a list of all these affirmations that, like, you want, so, like, you know, I am positive, or I am happy, or, you know, I am debt-free, I am all these things, and even when you start saying them at the beginning, it might feel like in your heart, you're like, yeah, but maybe, do you feel like the only way to really get through that is to keep saying it, keep pushing through it, and eventually that'll become true, or there...
So don't keep pushing through. This is where you have to listen to this is where people get frustrated, because they're like, damn, I wrote all these things down, I'm positive, and they get frustrated. So when you say I'm debt free, how do you feel about that? Like, hey, look at me. Can you win a gold medal?
Can I?
Yeah. Okay, so see, I simply look for that reaction where there's a moment of hesitation. That's it. Are you shooting as well as the top players in the country right now?
No.
Okay, you answered that honestly. Are you shooting best in the state right now?
No.
Okay.
No, I compete right now.
All right.
No.
Well, that's fine. But I'm just saying, with anything, bring it down till you finally find your truth, and you start from there. Because you don't want to keep imprinting this feeling of lack. If you're just saying, hey, I'm debt free, and you're not, something inside is going to be like, I disagree with that. Even though I know that's what I want, I'm not feeling that. So
but if you're bringing it down to a point where you are, how do you get to that next level?
Because then that's how you see more opportunities from there. So like let's take it down that we're saying I'm not in debt. Let's say I have the ability to make more money if I take another job on. I can find another job that I would enjoy doing and make money doing it. Ooh, no, I feel a little bit better about that. All right. So it's about kind of building this path to get debt free, and we're using this as the example, that you'll find, because we won't find it fighting ourselves. And I'm just trying to make it easier for everybody. That's how you can find it, and it works with everybody, with anything that you want. It's just about connecting with that feeling inside, because we ignore that a lot. We ignore this gut instinct, and we only realize relationships and all this stuff when there's so many red flags we can't deal with it. So I'm talking about let's learn to listen to that voice in a little subtler way, and you can get everything that you want.
I know also with you, when you brought up so many red flags, you've always managed your life really well. You don't take on things that you feel like, okay, that's not going to help me, so I'm just going to exclude that. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about tonight, because I see it all the time, especially now that I'm involved in USPSA, our shooting organization, as an administrator, is dealing with negative social media, negative stuff. You know, I don't care who you are, what athlete you can be LeBron James and be probably one of the greatest basketball players ever, and he's still got people, you know, beating up on him and saying you can't do this, can't do it. How do you deal with that? I know that Justin also doesn't. Well, I remember him saying that he doesn't show you a lot of the stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if you were strong enough himself to actually deal. How do you kind of like? Do you just ignore it, or do you just respond or not respond? Or
I mean, I think if I were to say that negative comments towards me don't, like, I hear them and I don't like them, and if I said I was just an iron wall, I'd be lying, because it's like nobody wants. I'm this feel good person. I want to give you compliments and have compliments, and I want everyone. I mean, generally, I want everyone to like me. You know, I'm not here to fight with anyone, or even though I can be competitive and things like that. Like, it's all like we can be friends, but I think it's about who you kind of surround yourself with a lot. The people you spend the most time with are who are going to have the most effect on your mentality, your attitude. I think it was Tony Robbins who said it was I think it's the five people around that is kind of who you are and how you feel.
You actually had that on your
yourself,
Instagram today. I think I saw that on your Instagram at B Mattek-Sands.
At Mattek-Sands.
There we go. It used to be at B Mattek.
I know, I switched it.
And you changed it. And
now we're all the same.
That was me.
I know. We did.
I was like, we gotta get your branding in line.
I know. It's coming along.
I have a shirt that says at B Mattek. It's one of my most comfortable shirts. It is.
I'm making really more. So
you know, we talk about being competitive, and I wanna like mention something else. So years ago, I used to be a pretty good squash player, right? I used to play, the squash is like racquetball, I guess you could say. And so me with my big freaking mouth, one night we were out at dinner, and I said to Bethany, hey, you want to play me a squash one day? She's like, sure. how does that work? I was like, well, haven't you played before? She says, yeah, I think I played it once before. So I'm thinking, solid, I got this, right? Oh my gosh. First set, I think I got like 7 or 8 or 10 points, and then Bethany started coming back. And I could literally see her on the court, figuring out and analyzing all the strokes and where the bounce was coming from and everything. Second set was about even, and after that, I may as well have packed up and gone home. But by set 7, I'm so tired, I'm like dragging around, I'm not winning a point. And she's saying to me, okay, I'll give you 18. If you don't know, squash plays to 21. She says, I'll give you 18 points head start.
No, that was the last. I was like, Leighton, come on. I was like, you can't say no. I'll give you an 18-point lead. We're playing up to 21.
You know what the final score
and
was?
You took it.
Right.
Wasn't it 21-19? 21-18?
No, I never beat you.
Yeah.
I think you beat
won.
me. Yeah, that's right. I think I
21-18.
won 1 point, she won 21. And why I mention that is because...
Have you played squash since?
Nope, I stopped, quit that day, put my racket away, and done. No, I still played since it. But what I actually want to bring up is that, and this is something that we allude to in dog training a lot, is that it doesn't really matter whether you're talking about shooting or dog training or tennis or golf or any of the sports that we talk about. It's the approach. And Bethany is somebody who spent her life fighting. I mean, you started playing pro tennis at 14, if I remember correctly, right?
Yep.
And at 14, it's not like you've got a bunch of people willing you on and saying, yeah, I mean, I would imagine that you were this precocious little blonde 14-year-old. I've actually seen pictures of you at 14, but you know, and so it's about that drive, isn't it? It's about, you know, making sure no matter what you play. I mean, there was no way you were going to lose to me that day. It didn't matter what you had to do on that court.
No,
I mean,
definitely.
I remember hitting a drop shot into the corner, which when I played
you
league
stopped
squash,
playing. You thought you were the winner.
because
no,
when
I
I
was
played
right on
league
that.
squash,
Like,
I knew that shot was a dead winner. It was like nobody ever hit that back. And I hit it, and I stopped playing, and Bethany is like this little freaking fireball off to the front of the court, and she gets it back, and I'm like, are you kidding me? How'd you even get there? Anyway, the point of this, and it leads me into what I want to really get to as well, is that you have this philosophy that I have a hard time, and I really struggle with, even to this day, where, you know, we shoot a lot of competitions. We shoot local matches, then we go to national matches, and then we shoot world championships. When you go to world championships, you've got all this pomp and ceremony, and it blows you up, and it's exciting, and then you get to that first stage, and basically you crash because the adrenaline is so high. Yeah. And I remember you once saying to me, it doesn't matter what point you play. It could be the first point of a match at a local tournament, or it can be playing in the Grand Slam. That brings me to one Friday night when I saw you play Serena Williams in New York at the US Open. That night was about pomp, and it had been blown up all week about the two of you playing together or playing against each other. I mean, how did you balance? Did you still follow that same routine in your mind with 18,000 screaming people? And no offense to you, but there were like 17,500 screaming for Serena, and the little 500 of us in the back corner. You know, we're like, dude, seriously, she's American as well. Like, where's the love here? But it's because it was New York, and New York fans are brutal sometimes.
Yeah.
Did you approach it the same way? Do you still feel that was the same as any other match?
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's not the same, because every match is different, and that's okay. I've learned to love the chaos a little bit. Like, that's how I've learned to play my game. I love the chaos. Like, I don't want everything in perfect squares and perfect order, because it never happens that way anyways. I love playing in front of crowds. I love a stadium. And in my mind, I can say, even if they're not cheering for me, I'm really pumped that people are this pumped to be watching a tennis match. So I can turn anything, and that's where I want to go back to kind of the power of our thoughts and getting to know our own emotions. We can turn anything the way we want it to. So in my mind, even though, because we'll play Fed Cup matches, Team USA versus Team Czech, I'm telling you, like, 4 people are cheering for you in that stadium, and everyone else is completely against you. But it's like, to me, it's amazing that people care this much, that they want to pay money to come watch some entertainment, to come watch us play tennis. And that's cool to me. And they're cheering for one of my friends. Sometimes
one of your best friends.
Sometimes there's more pressure when you have the whole stadium. Now you have the hometown pressure. Like, it goes both ways. Everyone can think of it differently. Some people like to be the underdog. I know some basketball players have talked about this in the NBA, where they've gone on away games and kind of like it that the crowd razzes them up. It fires them up a little bit. It's like baseball players talking about if they get hit by a pitch, they're pissed and they play better. So there's all these emotions that if you can recognize them and use them, it will help you get to what you want. So you can't expect, I want the crowd to be for me, I want the sun to be over here, I need it to not rain, I got to play at 1 p.m.
Gosh, yep.
Because then you're never going to be
so
happy.
we have weather in our sport, right?
Yeah, I do too.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we prefer like when the weather is like when it's rainy and pouring, or when it's super super hot and everyone else is complaining, because we're like, all right, if you're complaining, automatically you're already behind.
Yeah, I complain with them. I'm just like, oh, it's terrible. The conditions are awful. Play it up.
I see you doing that, but I appreciate that.
Yep.
That's
we all talk about that in Florida, because when you
game.
go shoot the Nationals in Florida, it's often during the hurricane season. And we've literally shot a match, the Nationals,
in
a hurricane. We call it the Hurricane Nationals.
But we've all studied the works of Lanny Basham. Who's a professional bullseye shooter, and he has a ton of content about like preparation.
So you tell us about Lanny, because
I met him.
You've worked with him.
Worked with him. I trained with him. Met with him. Amazing guy. You got to look up his stats. Like what he's achieved in his sport is really
incredible,
amazing. And I think the biggest thing that he taught me was he's big on journaling. Okay, so he's big on evaluating yourself after a practice, after a match, but not in the way you think. He wants you to discuss what you thought you did really well, and then just what you want to work on next time. So many times I see athletes, and I should say people, younger players, I'll take tennis as an example, where they're just kind of beating on the mistakes they've made. I shouldn't have missed that. I need to do that instead. I like to kind of focus on what you did really well, because again, if we go back to our mindset, what do we want to repeat? We want to repeat the really good shots. Okay, so we got to focus on the really good shots, because if we are what we think and we're thinking about mistakes, what are we going to do? We're going to make mistakes. So that's one thing Lanny really helped me with, was focusing on what I can do in the moment and focusing on repeating the visualization of all my good shots. That's what, and I'll even stop in the middle of my practices right now and stop to visualize the shot I just made. Let's say I hit the perfect backhand down the line. I'll literally stop and I'll visualize it again, and I'll recreate that feeling, because that's what I want to create. This isn't about, damn, I missed 10, I got to hit like 27 more. No, I'm waiting for that feeling on that one shot so I can recreate it when I visualize. And that's what Lanny talks about, and that's where we kind of bring in this power of the emotion, because we remember things that are really emotional. So let's say you had this amazing play and you're feeling great. You can feel how that feels to move smoothly, to hit all your targets. Like, it's not just what you're doing, how do you feel when you do that? So then re-visualize that feeling, and you're going to create that more.
That's awesome. I wish we could get the chance one day. We've often talked about, Christopher and I have listened to his videos, or his DVDs.
You read his book?
He's read his book, listened to the discs while we're driving to matches or whatever. But I'm super envious that you've actually hung out.
Reach out to him. Lanny's awesome.
We can't afford Lanny. He's like
Lanny's awesome.
And even taking that visualization aspect, because we do that a lot in shooting, in terms of like, okay, how did I feel on that stage when I had a really good stage, or what did that look like in terms of recreating that? And again, that applies to so many different aspects of life. Like if you feel like you had a really, really good day, or like we had one of our sales staff who had a really good day the other day, and so I spoke to her and I was like, so what were you feeling in that moment? Like what were your emotions? How did you start the day? Like what can you do to recreate those expectations and those goals again in such a way? So I think that translates super well into really every single aspect of life. Like picking out the day that you feel your best on, and then trying to analyze every single moment of that day so that you can recreate it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's easier than you think. It's just, I like to say that your attitude and choosing happiness and being positive is actually a habit. It's not for a gifted few that were naturally born with this positivity. It's something that we do.
Athletes are so that's something, that's a good statement, because I've often heard people say that there's no such thing as a natural athlete. And I think I was talking to Justin about it one day. Can you take anybody and make them a good tennis player?
What do you say? What's good?
World class, winning.
I think there's a lot of things that you can teach, and I've seen a lot of players that you wouldn't think they're the most talented, but they have other strengths, and that's why I think it's a combination of a lot of things. You still have to be athletic. You still have to have good eye-hand coordination. Can you work to improve all those things? 100%. You got to have a good medley of all of them to really be at the top. And and I think we all kind of innately know what we want to do through our life, like what our strengths are. And so it's, for me to even say, like, I want to just be this an amazing mathematician. It's not saying that I can't or can. I actually kind of don't want to. That's not where my joy and my passion and my energy were. And it's a good thing because math is like the worst subject for me. But my sister is kind of opposite personality, and that's her field. That's where she had her passion, and she went for it. And she's got her PhD from Dartmouth. She was working at Stanford. Like, she's taken it far. A funny story actually about competition. So when we were younger, I was this outdoorsy, played all different kinds of sports, and my parents made me play piano. They made me take piano lessons. So I started a couple weeks before my sister, who's 2 years younger than me. So I'm sitting there playing piano, and I'm just like, man, I could be outside, like, playing kickball, I could be climbing trees, I could be doing track and field, rollerblading, like, whatever. So I'm learning piano lessons, whatever, and my sister starts a couple weeks later. And so then I was like, Mom and Dad, I don't really like piano. It's not me. And they're like, okay. I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, but I'm ahead of my sister in the lesson books, so I'm going to keep going because I'm ahead of her. Like, I have to be better than her in everything. To catch up. So I kept going for like probably a few months, another year, and finally I sat my sister down. I had to have been like 9. She was 7. I was like, Al, you can have this one thing. I'm giving you piano because I'm gonna stop. Anyways, and so I gave it to her. No, my sister's an amazing pianist, a classically trained pianist. Like, even if I would have kept going, I would have been in that league.
That's cool. And she's an awesome person.
Yes, no, but it was just, that was how I was even when I was younger. Like, I was just super competitive.
Well, and there's a story of you playing soccer with some kids, and you were picked second. Yeah. What happened in that situation?
I forgot I told you that story. So we were in grade school, and this was in Minnesota still. So I was born in Minnesota, moved to Wisconsin, lived there for a little while, and then moved to Florida. So when I was in Minnesota in grade school, at recess, we always picked teams, and it was guys and girls could play, everyone played, and I usually got picked first, or I was the captain that did the picking. So anyways, one day, I got picked second, and I was pissed, and I, huffed and puffed, and I sat down, and I didn't play. And I was like, how could you pick Ben in front of me? He sucks. I didn't say that. I was really, shy kid. But I literally, sat down and refused to play until they all came up to me and was like, yeah, we probably should have picked you first. Will you just play? And then recess was over. We had to go in.
That's funny. Tell us what your normal day is like now. When you're playing, when you wake up, practice.
Okay, so here at home, when I'm in Phoenix, so I'm waking up at 6:30 every day. So on my calendar, if you looked at it right now, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., it says Bethanie's time, and that time doesn't get moved. There's nothing gets in the way of this hour. That's just something I do for me, whether it be meditation, journaling. It has nothing to do with work, nothing really to do with tennis, unless I had an inspired thought that I want to write down in my journal. Believe it or not, I have coloring books, I've sketched. It's really kind of like a creative outlet that I get to do whatever I want for that hour. And after that, we have, we have an agenda meeting. So, sounds very professional, but I got a lot of stuff going on in my life. And it needs to be organized, because if you're not organized with kind of these little off-court things, it seeps into the rest of your day. So I like to get on top of that in the morning. I have an amazing assistant that writes up some agendas for me to keep me on track, because here's how I like to approach my day. Let's say I'm going into training, let's say I'm going into tennis practice, I'm fully there. I want to fully be vested. I want to have full focus on that, because quality over quantity is how I live my life. I don't need to be out there 2 hours. I can be out there for 45 minutes, but I will be invested in every single shot that I hit, and that's it. And so that's kind of how I viewed a lot of different areas of my life, and it's helped me a lot. I feel like this quality over quantity can be applied not just in sports, it can be applied anywhere. We all know this when we have things on the back of our mind, or we're trying to juggle a couple things. Sometimes nothing gets done. All right, so let's zone in. Boom, boom, boom. This is what I had control of today. Next, here's what I'm going to get done. And it's helped me so much with my day. So after those 2 hours, I get ready and I go play tennis from 10 to 12 a.m. If it's a little cold like it has been here, holy shit, then I'll wait till the afternoon and I'll train first instead. So I do about an hour and a half, 90 minutes of physical training, and then I'll do 2 hours of practicing. And then after that, it's rehab recovery training. So it's not done. And when I say massages, you've been through some of my massages, that they just beat you up a little bit. Yeah. But you feel better when you walk out. and I've done acupuncture, any kind of treatment, ice baths. That's followed by. I feel like in my 30s, my career is more about my recovery than it is even on the court. So I like to spend a little bit more time off the court in my training, physical recovery, mental, than I do actually tennis on the court. I think as a whole, it puts everything together and it helps me play my best. And I mean, tennis goes from January to November, so I got to be ready to play week in and week out.
That's a long season.
So this is just and this is just my schedule when I'm at home. And that's not, I mean, I like to be, you'll catch me on Instagram, like I do all other things around town, plus have a normal relationship with someone. And I think, there's a time.
He's normal?
Justin's somewhat normal, but I'll give him that because he's not here.
You know that Justin, he's bigger, stronger, and much more powerful than me. So.
He's a big baby. It's kind of like the big dogs. Like,
well, I was going to say, like, Ruger.
Yeah, we haven't even brought up Ruger.
You know what they say that your dogs are going to look exactly like you. I need to bring up, when you guys are talking next, I'll bring up a picture, if I can, of Ruger and Justin.
Identical.
And post in literally the same.
Identical build.
The same person, dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
The owners match the dog. That is Justin and Ruger.
Yeah, we got to get a side by side portrait of just them, and then combine
it. Unless you guys think it's all about Justin and Ruger, she's just as fanatical. That dog, all 141 pounds of him, sleeps on their bed.
I know.
And travels with them sometimes.
I know, he goes. And, he'll go over to the owner.
And I got to bring up.
Indian
Indian Wells. So you got to understand. That night we play, and I've learned my lesson when I'm with you guys. I know where my place is. I just shut the hell up when it's time to shut up. And for me, that's hard, as you all know. So anyway, Bethany played that day, and I don't think you had a good match that day. And
I lost, yeah.
She lost, and so we get in the truck and we're headed back to the house, like a rental house that they had, and it's dead quiet. And I'm sitting in the. Actually, I think you were sitting in front. I was sitting in the back.
This was a while ago, though.
Justin and I were talking. This was a long time.
Because I've shifted my energy a little bit.
And we're hardly saying anything because Bethany is like just looking for a reason to wrap a tennis racket around one of our heads, right? So Justin and I are like dead quiet. We get to the house, we're offloading all the gear, and Bethany walks into the house. She walks in and she turns around, and Justin and I are like, well, we made it this far, we're still alive, And next thing Bethany turns around, comes walking out, and we're like, oh shit. Well, let me tell you, that was the exact right word. Ruger, their South African Boer bull, had diarrhea all over the house. He bust out of his crate. Poor guy, needed to go. And I couldn't even tell the story anymore. Literally everywhere.
And I walked out and I was like, "You're cleaning your child's shit up." And I think I slammed the door and took a shower.
You went into the bathroom, took a shower, and just stayed there. And there were Justin and I, we walked in, we don't even know where to start, We had to go buy a machine and start, it was crazy. But poor old Ruger, you forgave him after that. And
poor guy.
It taught me a lot about make sure I don't travel with my clients' dogs next time. And by the way, Ruger's dog, and we'd also trained many years ago. Did
we had some good protection.
That's actually how we met. And I remember when Bethany came for the first time for a lesson, I was so worried about her getting hurt in the lesson. And
we were just a puppy
and
too.
we did protection training, remember? And I was like, I saying to all my decoys and my staff, like, whatever you do not let her. I do not want to be a headline. Bethanie Mattek-Sands gets injured at the dog training school, And I had another story. The golfer Tom Lehman.
Yeah.
So he's playing the Phoenix Open one, and he invites me to come over and watch golf with them and his family, which I did. And then afterwards we went to his home, right? We're at his house and he says, "Hey, do you have your dog with you?" And I happen to have one of my was Christopher's dog with me. He says, "Bring him in. I want to show." Well, I think it was it Phil Mickelson? It was one of the other pro golfers. I can't remember. He says, "Go on, put a sleeve on him and let him take a bite." I'm like, hell no. He's like, no, really, let's do that.
No way.
And they did. Whoever it was, I can't remember, put it on, and I was like...
You did it?
I was like,
Damn.
This is like the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life.
Justin put a sleeve on.
Justin did,
he had a bone bruise for like a couple months. He didn't
for
want
Tennis Channel, remember?
Yes.
We did that story for Tennis Channel. That was cool.
I did not do that.
We did it for talking about Tennis Channel that day. We did a shooting thing for them too. You've actually been shooting with us.
Yes, I know. I've done a couple targets and I was pretty good, right? For never really doing it.
And I keep hearing about you beating me one day in shooting, which will probably never happen.
Listen, I'll throw that out there with some practice. I think I can do it.
The funny part is that you probably could. So we'll definitely we'll put that to test. One day we'll bring all you guys out and we'll actually get some shooting in and so forth.
So just to kind of switch directions, so you've obviously, tennis has taken you to some amazing places in the world. So where's like one of the favorite places that you always love going back to, and then where's somewhere you still want to get going to?
All right, so I've pretty much played every tournament there is to play on my calendar. I've missed a couple, but my two favorite places are Queenstown, New Zealand, which I went there for the first time this year. Amazing. Second place is probably Hong Kong.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Hong Kong.
Love Hong
I want to
Kong.
definitely get down there.
I would have thought you had said Wimbledon.
Food is amazing. Fashion is unreal. Shopping's amazing. It's such a cool culture to be immersed in. I really enjoy my time out there. I personally love vacation in Thailand, Malaysia. I recommend anyone to, if you can get a good deal on flights going out there, go. You can live
It's
like
so
it.
cheap
It's
once
so
you're out
cheap,
there.
and it's amazing food. The people are awesome.
Wow.
You're in a tropical island. You can go island hopping. You can go scuba diving. Like, it's really an amazing time. You'll probably spend less there than going to Disney World with the whole family.
It's just
not
a
gonna
flight
lie.
to get down there, and then
Yep.
once you're there, you can literally live like a king.
Yep.
And talk about fashion. You have this reputation of being like the fashionista of tennis.
Yes.
People used to say the Lady Gaga of tennis. I'm like, what the hell's Lady Gaga? You're the star, but
Which is
you're
absurd.
also
Absurd
doing your own fashion
I
line
am.
as well
Yes,
now.
I'm
which
glad
is-
you're keeping up with this.
I
So I'm
do
making
follow,
some bomber
you know.
jackets right now. It's
Yeah.
only for the chicks, but I'll make you guys some too.
Well, Christopher likes wearing feminine clothing,
Yeah.
so that's
So
So
fine.
you'll wear my
Definitely.
bomber
Oh,
jacket.
100%.
All right, done. In.
I don't know about the current one yet.
No, you can. You'll love it. It's very
I've seen it.
Gucci inspired.
Actually,
It is up your alley. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yes.
I'll have to check
I'll
it
get
out.
you a
I'll check it out.
medium.
Christopher's
strong
developed
as
his rep
muscles.
on the shooting circuit of like dressing this crazy clothing, and I'm just
Okay.
like, I don't know him. He's 21 now. He's
No,
like,
you know what?
But
I
that's
still do
awesome that
alright
you're doing that.
with the girls. So
Yeah, it's the creativity.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
appreciate being different and unique. So that's kind of what my fashion brand is about. I think everyone knows I've always worn something funky on the court, and I'm a colorful personality. Like, I like to say I would be this way even if I didn't play tennis. It's not because I play tennis that I'm like this. This is how I would be in design, fashion, interior design, things like that outside of the court. But so I have my new line. Came out with, it actually is just dropping in a couple days, so I'm getting ready for
Oh.
Indian Wells. So I have the new jacket out, new skirt.
With who?
I mean, so it's Lucky in Love, BMS with Lucky in Love. We came out, the first line was in Australia for Australian Open. We had a Love
Yep.
Down Under campaign. Now we have one for Palm Springs. We'll have another one for Miami, and then we're gonna have ones coming out here and there for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
And
Wells is awesome. I
Where
love
is there
that.
anywhere like people can buy this stuff?
Yeah, so
or-
you can go, if you play tennis, you know tenniswarehouse.com, so you can always go there, or you can go to Lucky in Love and you can find my stuff there. It will be
LuckyInLove.com.
LuckyInLove.com.
in the
Yeah,
show
definitely.
notes.
No, follow them on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. I post about it all the time. But if you like colorful fashion and you like to be different, I was inspired to do it just because I think tennis clothes get boring. I feel like you watch tennis matches. Nike has the same thing on everybody, and you don't know actually if both girls have a blonde ponytail. You don't know who's who, and I'm like, if I know them and I don't know who's who on TV, the fans definitely don't.
Oh, it's actually that's a big thing on sometimes when we're watching a game because Sarah is not really that interested in TV, but obviously if I'm watching TV at 3 in the morning, or most of the time it's on my laptop nowadays, watching one of
You hear all
the
these
streaming
grunts
things.
going back and forth.
Yeah, and most times she sleeps, and it's when I'm like, yes! And I'm like, oh yes, I'm not supposed to show emotion. And by the way, if you think I'm kidding about that, there was a match, man, I can't remember, was it Indian Wells? I was getting a little vocal. I was in the photographer pit and I was doing photographs
Oh, it was Indian Wells, yeah.
It was Indian Wells. And Bethany won the point or whatever, won a game or whatever, and I was like, yes! And then one of the officials came over and warned me, said like, as a photographer, you may not show emotion. I'm like, dude,
It's a great point.
that's my
I'm
buddy,
shooting for
like-
good tennis.
and I was like, all right, I got it.
I feel like tennis just kind of gets a little bit of bad rap for being kind of stiff and boring and preppy, and that's kind of what the energy I want to break up in this mode. Tennis is fast and fun. I mean, you've been there courtside.
Yeah.
How fast are these girls
Oh,
and guys
jeez.
playing? How
You guys
well are
serve.
they moving?
People
How
just have
big are
no
they
idea.
playing? And I think sometimes TV almost doesn't even do it justice.
No,
And
it
especially
doesn't.
if you're streaming online, I mean, you're really not getting the true grasp of what tennis is like live, and and that's kind of the energy I want to portray. I think so many girls actually do have a personality. We just don't always get to see it. I'm pretty outgoing. Some of the girls are shy. English isn't their first language. so maybe you don't know a lot about them. But I think it's kind of turning around. I think you're seeing more personalities come out.
Mm-hmm.
I think the filming is getting better. I've talked with ESPN about just getting different angles so we can see the spin that these guys are hitting with.
Yep.
If you've watched tennis and you've ever watched one of Rafael Nadal's matches, it's one of the only times where the camera has to zoom out because he runs past where the camera lines are.
Yep.
And so I think it's, once you go to a stadium court, you have to see how much court he is actually covering. He is everywhere, and I think the game is just getting faster. Everyone's hitting bigger, everyone's getting stronger. So it's, to be a part of tennis, and like you said, I've been playing tennis since I've been 14. The changes that I've seen through all the players, it's been an awesome evolution, I would say. And I think if you are like, tennis is boring, you got to give it another shot.
It's
tennis
really
is
not.
Well, even we
awesome.
talk about shooting all the time, because shooting as a spectator sport is incredibly boring because it's very full of arithmetic and the shooters know what's going on, and when you're actually shooting, it's really fun because you're able to kind of break down the situations. Yeah, most of the shooters don't know what's going on, but
no, they don't.
No,
we
really
joked about
don't.
that, and I'm sure I'm going to take some heat for saying this, but there's a lot of people that while they're shooting the competition, you say to them, "So tell me, what was your hit factor on that stage?" They're like, "What? I don't work with math." And I'm like, "It's not bad. It's just a simple score." That's the one thing about tennis that if I talk to a non-tennis person, they have a hard time understanding, 15, 30, 40, etc. game.
But is it something like, because for example, if you asked me what my first serve percentage was, I wouldn't know.
I'd probably know.
Yeah, I know, but I wouldn't know.
I think you're around 55, 58%.
But then what's my win percentage off my first serve?
But it's not that. So it's not.
It's
like
less
super
technical
specific.
than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do watch the
literally
technical
just
stuff.
where are you in the match?
Okay.
Or if you have a miss.
So be what court are you on?
Like Christopher
right
Kind of said, Bethany 1, 2, and 3, and he's like, what?
Okay.
I'm like 6, 2, 6, 3, and then he's like, oh, that's right,
Okay. I was just checking. Because there's some stats. Look, because tennis is a stat game.
Yes,
I get a lot of questions about, do you keep track of your stats? How important are they to analyze after the match? There's a few that are like
KPIs.
Honestly, let's talk about first serve percentage. Everyone loves this one. Generally, I know if I'm making enough serves or not. I'll know in the match. I'll have a feel damn, I need to make a couple more first serves. She's kind of crushing me. Or I'll be okay, damn, okay, I'm winning a lot on my second serve. I could mix up a second serve as my first serve if I want to make it, but I feel pretty confident that she's not doing much to me on my second serve.
By the way, your serving is much better lately. I don't know what you've been doing. Seriously,
I got more of a rhythm going.
I don't often give you tennis advice because
you gingerly gave that to me
too. Very gingerly. I put it on so on TV you're not gonna beat me up, but it is.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, it's about being smooth, and sometimes when I wanted to hit hard serves, I'll say hitchy. I was never super hitchy, but I just wanted to be smooth and consistent versus trying to go for my power serve all the time. Because I can hit a hard serve really hard, but what makes that difficult is mixing in your spin serves.
Yep.
So a lot of times you'll see me hit a first serve that's over 100 miles an hour, but then you'll see me slide in this 75, 80 mile an hour slice out wide. And it's when your opponents have to face, or even when I have to face someone who can serve in all those ranges, it makes it difficult to get a good rhythm.
Yeah.
So whereas if someone's serving 110 at me all the time, eventually I'll probably start seeing that just because that's how we're trained. Once we see the same ball a couple times, most of the great players can make adjustments to that. So it's really kind of, you want to take some of these tennis stats and dig a little bit deeper. Because you could have someone that's making 90% first serves, but if they're just digging them in, but if they're getting killed, that stat means nothing.
I remember you telling me that once. It's not just about getting it in. You've got to make sure you get it in.
You got to be doing something with it. Yeah.
I want to go back to the thing that you started as a 14-year-old, and to me it's important because of my son Christopher. Parents and kids that are kids that are athletes, sports people. Any advice for parents out there of how to deal with that?
Oh man, I know. And listen, just being a youngster that did really well and felt some pressure as an athlete, I had a great family support, and I think it's worth it to know that most of the time all these parents are doing these things because they love their kid and they want them to do their best, even if it's they feel inadequate or what, we can break down kind of the psychology behind what tough parents do to their kids, and it doesn't matter. Generally speaking, they all want their kids to be successful. They want them to have a better life than they did, more opportunities than they did. And so I can accept it's all coming with love. But I think the biggest part is recognizing that your kid is more than their results. They're more than their sport. They're more than their grades. Like at the, if I look back, to when I played some tournaments when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Let's say I did really well, but I lost in the finals. What does Bethany want to talk about? Bethany probably just wants a blizzard at Dairy Queen. Yeah. Like, there's nothing more.
Oh, we don't say Dairy Queen when we're talking shooting, by the way.
Oh, really? Why?
Because it stands for DQ.
Oh, damn. All right, I didn't know this.
That's like.
Well, so what do we say?
We just talk. We don't use the word Dairy Queen or DQ.
I didn't know this. All right, so we won't. So shooting parents never say that.
Ice cream or blizzards.
Oh man. But I think that's really kind of the point I want to make, because it's about encouraging your kids to find their own strengths. So many times we see, hey, this worked well for Sharapova, this worked well for Serena, this worked well for Bethany, so we got to follow that. And it's not. I think I want to see the kids that are out there because they love something about it. Some like to run all day. Some want to just hit winners. Some want to hit aces. Some want to hit drop shots and silly shots. And I think as a kid, you should kind of encourage all those intricacies, because they'll ultimately find what they're passionate about. And again, I'm speaking as the kid, and I'm not speaking as a parent. I don't have kids right now, but I know it's a difficult subject, because there's going to be times where your kid's not going to be the best. Somebody like, there's only a couple of them that are going to be the greatest. Only one person can be number one in the world. I hate to break it to you. Competitions, there's one winner. Like, I think so many times we're emphasized on just what's the win of this tournament. It's one person, so we're not talking about 99 other things or other wins along the way. I think it's really important to kind of point out how many wins that your kids are getting in their matches. Point out something that they've done well. Ask them what they felt. Kids know. I mean, really, I've talked to all these youngsters in these tennis camps, and they know what they like. They know they can feel pressure. Like, we don't give them enough credit for knowing certain things. Obviously, there's technical cues that you want to give them, and I will say that some coaches are better than others at doing this. But ultimately, when they're younger, you want to cultivate this passion, this competitiveness, this curiosity. I mean, all the sports do is help you learn more about yourself. Anything that I've done in tennis, I can apply in life, and that's really. If your kid's going to be pro, if they're going to get a college scholarship out of it, like, there's a lot of different wins, and you can get, even if they stop in high school and they're just having fun, there's so much that you can get out of it that you can then in turn do something else in your life.
What's your thoughts about, like, participation trophies then?
I'm participation trophies. Here's where I'm going to be clear on this. I think kids should be encouraged to participate. I think there's going to be a winner. At the end of the day, kids know. They know who wins. There was a study done where they let these kids pick their own teams instead of the coach tell them what positions they should play in a football team. And the kids, they're 10, 11, 12-year-old kids, and they all said, well, the kid with the best arm, he's going to be our quarterback. All right, this bigger kid, we're going to put him here. Like, everybody kind of knows where they are. Like, just because you give a child a participation award after a loss, it has to be done in a certain way. You have to make points of why it's good that they're participating, not just that they won, because they know they didn't. Somebody can win, but that doesn't have to be the only reason to celebrate. I think participation awards, although I understand the idea, it works backwards, because we're just saying, like, nobody can win, or if there is a winner, it's bad. Like, but so if you win and
it takes away the value from that winner.
Yeah, but if you win and I lose, I can learn something about it. You can learn something about it. We move on. How about let's celebrate, like, different aspects of winning and losing? Like, then you get too many participation awards, and I just see people when it does come down to it, there's got to be a winner and loser. Yeah. You see people get nervous because they're not used to that pressure. Yeah, like, for me, I've had to win or lose and deal with it and move on. Now, again, I'm going to point out that losing isn't a loss. Like, we don't have to be like, you're the loser, you lost, you don't get anything. There's so much we can build up on everyone. If you're making quarterfinals, if you lost first round, maybe in the next week you get second round. You still lost. It's okay. We lose in life. Like, there's all these things. Right. Like, that's a natural cycle, and I think the more equipped we are to handle that and roll with it,
it's really good.
It's the best way that as a human experience that we're going to get everything that we want, because we can't just stop everything if we lose, or just cover our ears and ignore it. Like
Right.
and that's where I come at it from.
No, I think that's really good
again,
point.
the idea, I understand the idea because you want everyone to be included, but at the same time, why it doesn't. We're only putting the winners on a pedestal over here because we're just saying that's better. It doesn't have to be that way. There can be just as much celebrated in losses and in losing too.
Well, and even in life, like there's so many winners. You know.
Yeah,
There's
different
enough to go
kinds.
around
There's different
for
kinds of
everyone.
winners.
Yeah.
Just because I win in tennis and you win in shoot, like who's the better winner?
Right.
Like there's no, this is coming from a competitive
Of course,
person.
there's a part of me right now that says, yeah, if you beat me in shooting.
Yeah, but that's fine. But I like the competition. That's okay. Like
Well, that's it for me. After that, I'm done. I got nothing else. Hey,
I know you already quit squash.
Yeah, I
like,
quit squash. Or like, you know,
damn,
get
I don't
all
want
that.
to further you.
So now I got to say, like those of you who know me know I don't drink, but Bethany walked in tonight and she had a bottle with her.
Am I
So
the first guest to bring alcohol?
You definitely are the first guest to bring alcohol. I bet this is the first time I've had alcohol in our office. You know, in my
Damn,
office.
all right.
I know.
I like a lot
I
of
don't keep
firsts here.
a bottle underneath. Yeah, that's
All right,
right.
so talk us through what this is and what are you kind of doing, because this is a part of your life now.
This is a part of my life. So this is Kimosabe Mezcal. So if you haven't tried it, you should. Total Wine here in Arizona. But it's going to be countrywide, I think by June or July.
Nice.
So it is an agave drink, so it's tequila. So I'm going to give you a little lesson. Tequila can only be made from blue agave.
Okay.
There's 42 varieties of agave, and mezcal can be made from any of them. So you know how champagne can only be from champagne? Similar
Yes.
thing with tequila.
Yep.
So mezcal basically is tequila. Tequila is just only blue agave can be used. This one uses all 42 varieties. Generally, mezcal is a little bit smokier. So if you like a little smokiness to your drinks, is that how you like?
That's how I like.
Okay, that's how you like your drinks. So that is what this.
Well, you know that he's allergic to alcohol, right?
Except tequila, he
Except
said.
tequila.
I can't drink
Yeah.
tequila.
So
but
basically,
that
you're not
100% on that
agave.
bottle is scary though.
No, it's 100% agave.
Oh, is that what it is? I'm thinking it's like
I'm not gonna kill
I
you
won't be able
here
to
on
wrap this.
TV.
I won't be able to wrap this thing up.
One
after
second.
this.
and
Live,
you're
but
like,
the Layton's gone. I guess
I'm gone.
I'm
Like,
the
and
new
I still have to
Layton.
go to the gym after this. So.
I'm not. Jeez, guys, I'm only gonna give you a little bit.
No,
all
we're
right.
just gonna have
And
a
this
little
is
taste.
I would do it
A
with
little tasty
ice.
taste, yeah.
This is my drink of choice. Personally, I am a mezcal gal. You can. It's the same, similar to tequila. You can get blanco, reposado, anejo. Different aging processes. This is the blanco, so this is the smokier one.
How did you get involved with this?
So,
I mean, I know you've always had a thing for fine liqueurs and wines.
Yeah.
And you showed up at my house a couple of times. Okay, we're gonna drink this bottle of wine, and I'm like, holy, no, we're not. We're gonna put it in the safe.
She
along
brought
with
wine
my-
too, but we didn't have the bottle opener.
I know, yeah, I know. I have the one over here, but the mezcal is better. So no, these are friends of ours. So I'm an ambassador. It's strong, right?
It's strong.
I know. Just
Well,
get,
definitely,
just
you
get a
can
little
definitely
sick.
smell the smoky.
The smokiness of so this one is the one that is not aged as much. When you get to the reposados anejo, it gets a little darker of a color, and it's a little bit less smoky. But no, so I am an ambassador with Kimosabe, and it was a big deal because actually it was kind of taboo for women to represent liquor companies.
Oh, really?
When I went, it was very. You look at George Clooney with his tequila company,
Well,
or
and
Ryan
Serena
Reynolds
Williams,
with Jim.
Serena Williams' husband, Alex.
Yes, Alex.
He has his own. I can't remember what it is. Is it a bourbon?
Does he?
He has his own.
Man, I
alcohol
need to
company.
talk to him about this.
No, he does.
But it was because even when I was first talking with Kimosabe and I talked to some of my mentors, that was a question they asked me. They're like, hey, it can be taboo. There's not a lot of females represented in liquor. And I was like, what? We're not allowed to enjoy a cocktail and enjoy it? So I made a stance. They've won gold medals against all different kinds of tequilas. So I like to say it's kind of a gold medals.
Yeah,
We're keeping
you
it
put
in
your
the
medals
family
together.
here. They have a couple
You didn't
more.
bring a medal with you tonight.
No, I
keep
know.
forgot to ask you to bring it.
I know.
Well, you guys are both gold medalists.
So this is where. Come on,
Yeah,
Mister.
I'm
You gotta keep
not
up.
quite the same thing though.
Kimo's
but
got 5 gold medals. Layton's got 1.
one.
I got 1.
I just have a silver.
Oh, it's okay.
so
Come on in. Come on in.
Well,
This
we
is
can
good.
fix that. Well,
This
cheers.
is the champions and winners here. Let's try this.
Oh, we're doing the whole thing. Okay.
That's really good.
It's pretty smooth, right? I gave you a pretty big shot.
And I'm over here like.
You've got me to do a bunch of things in my
It's my
life.
first
that I
time.
wouldn't
I'm
normally have
glad.
done
I'm
just for the
glad I
record,
can be
but
that person in your life. So
that
this
actually
is.
tastes really good. Though.
This is what we celebrate with. I have like one of the little bottles in my blister kit, believe it or not.
In
So
the blister
when
kit.
I do win a tournament, it's getting pulled out.
That's it.
Are you so okay? That's an interesting question. Are you like, say you walk off the like you're on the sidelines and you take a little shooter shot? Would that be frowned upon?
It probably would be frowned upon in tennis.
Is there inner rules that you can't drink?
Obviously you cannot be you can't
there has
drink
to
while
have been
you're
someone
playing.
That's like come in hungover or like still a little tipsy. No.
Honestly, you don't see a ton of players that come play a professional match that are really like they can't make it through a match. I mean, I know some people's tolerances maybe are better than others. I don't know, but for the most part, we're also used of keeping our bodies feeling great. And it's not that we don't when we have days off or when we've won a championship. You see the champagne getting popped. So I'm glad to see that tennis players have a little bit of balance too, but for the most part, you know, we all want to physically feel optimal because it's that close of a competition right now on the tour. Like it's just the top 50 players, top 100 players. You know, there's upsets, you know, from the first day of tournaments that we've seen. So there's no really room for it. But again, maybe someone's just amazing. They have a great tolerance, and I don't know about it.
They come over pounding orange
juice in the water. It's not me personally. This is just kind of a recovery day or after wins. But yeah, you got to have a little balance.
I understand the ice bath thing a little bit better.
I don't know. I haven't done this unless I've won. Like after I've won a tournament. Then I've had like champagne in the locker room. Generally, I skip the ice bath then.
Well, I followed a whole bunch of things you've done. I started doing acupuncture because of you.
Okay.
And I work out because of you.
Good.
Although, you know, one day I worked when
I'm helping you live to 100.
Come work out with me. And I'm like, you know, I'm not really that into workouts and everything. Well, I went and worked out, and after I did my warm-up, she's like, okay, I'm like, that's it for me. And she's like, no, we're just starting. Well, literally an hour or 2 hours later, I forget, time kind of just ran together at that point. I literally crawled out of that place. So I've never forgotten that. I don't think I've ever been back to work out.
I don't think you have.
So you got that, and now
scared.
you got me drinking Mezcal, Kimasabe.
Yep.
And there was something else that I just thought of now. And then the mindset thing. You've got me like, now when I shoot and I miss a target with a miss, I just like, well, I got a miss and I walk on. And I think of Bethany, like, what would Bethany do? So,
okay, there we go. Well, I'm gonna be writing a book soon, so.
Nice, you are.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I'm currently just taking my notes down.
Is this exclusive
knowledge? Gosh.
First time.
This is exclusive knowledge.
First time. First time.
Yeah.
We're hearing it first.
So yes, I'm not putting a date on it because I want it to be a very personal
okay, so
and.
You heard her 3 or 4 months from now.
Yeah.
First time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something I kind of want
That'd
to
be awesome.
write down everything, and that's one of the reasons why I journal in the morning too, just to kind of collect my thoughts and stories, and I wanted to
You'll
put
have
it
to
all
put
together.
in that time when you and Lucy won the finals. And you didn't realize what the score was.
Oh yeah.
And you turned around to look at her. Okay, what are we playing next? And she's jumping up and down.
That's happened a couple times.
What, you know?
That's happened a couple times where I've like been so in the zone, and she's like, "No, that it's over." I'm like,
"We're done.
We're done." I have to look at the scoreboard. Like I've been so, and that's a good example. Like I was like point by point. It didn't even matter what the game score was. That's proof that you follow your own like what
teaching.
The score was. I will say there's only a couple times where I thought I won earlier than I did. I haven't made it super obvious, but I was like, "Oh no." We're still going.
I haven't caught that.
Yeah. It was only like one time. Luckily, I won that match still. So.
That's cool. Well, listen, I can't tell you how much I loved having you here.
Of course.
We can literally talk for hours.
Yeah, I could.
And we have.
I know.
We talked for like an hour and 15.
This is our longest.
Krista, you come over to our house though. And we have like good discussions sometimes.
Long
yes,
talks,
we do.
A little bit of tequila.
Yes,
and
mezcal. You gotta like mezcal.
Yeah. So last week we had another guest on named Juan Acosta, and he asked a question that I'll turn to you guys and we can all answer today. So if the world were to tune in and watch you speak for 30 seconds,
I saw this question when you sent it to me. 30 seconds. That's why I'm writing a book.
30 seconds. Yeah, it's too much. You gotta like come down with like.
Is learn to listen to your emotions. It's your internal GPS system guiding you through life. That was less than 30.
I got nothing.
You can't follow.
I'm gonna go with that.
Oh man, I can do. I'll take yours. I'll bully you. I'll take your 30 seconds.
How can I beat? You know,
I think like the biggest thing that I would try to point out is, and I've said this before, is that if you align yourself with a higher purpose and then just matching your work ethic to that higher purpose, then everything else falls into place.
You know, I've got something I'll use, which I use all the time when I'm shooting, and those of you who shoot with me know, because I talk about this all the time, that I never consider myself out of a game anymore. I basically look at it like, doesn't matter what I've done badly, mistake I've made. I had it happen in Florida last week where I had one of my best major results where I did a reload in the middle of a stage that I shouldn't have done. And I literally, as I'm doing the reload, I'm like, oh, well, there goes 1.5 seconds that I shouldn't have given up. But I stayed on it and I shot all alphas after that on very difficult targets. And it's that mindset that we talk about. So I'll go with it.
But see, the only difference there is you thought differently. You had a different thought. You could have.
Because before I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck, dude? You can't. Sorry, I shouldn't say that on the program.
With the same situation, you would have been pissed. So
Yeah.
the only difference was you chose what to think, and that's
true. That's
what I would leave people with. We have so much power in our thoughts, and I think once you realize how powerful negative thoughts are, you'll eventually not think them. And it will be so set in you that you're just like, it's not even worth it. It's actually not worth it for what I want to do in my life and what I want to feel. And once you get to that point, it's easy. I'm telling you. I know you said it was hard. I'm working on you. But it gets easy.
Well, it's much easier having this conversation with you at 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening than at 3 in the morning.
We should have started with the
I know, man.
Yeah, we should have loosened us up.
So what is your question today? You have the opportunity to ask the question.
Jesus, I didn't know about this.
Question of the day.
It's for Bethany.
I have a good question of the day. The question of the day is, think of everything that you've put your time, money, energy in, whatever. What brings you the most passion in your day?
That's a good question.
What? And I'm not talking about what makes you the most money. I'm not talking about what your friends like the most. I'm talking about what actually gives you the most passion and that feeling of like, I am pumped, I'm energized, I love life. What gives you that feeling?
I think I'm gonna go.
Wait. Don't answer.
That's next week's question.
We're going to tune in next week.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a good
We'll
question.
answer that next week.
I got a great answer too. Like, chomping at the bit.
You can't.
I have to tune in next week, so I know.
Next week, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Big thank you to Bethanie Mattek-Sands.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining us today. We're definitely honored. You guys can follow her at Mattek-Sands, MATTEKSANDS, on Instagram and other social medias.
And also
Twitter,
tennis channel.
Yep,
She's
tune in on
commentator on tennis channel. It's awesome to watch.
ESPN.
And it's so funny because I gotta be careful how I say this, but Bethany would always, people talk about this on tennis, on the commentators, and then I go back to Bethany or Justin and say, hey, so this commentator said this, and Bethany would be like, that's not what the player's thinking. And I was like, one of these days it's going to be her sitting at that desk. Now it is her sitting at that desk, and I hear that, and now we're getting legit what the players actually think, not what somebody's making up. And I'm not talking about like most of the tennis channel people are former players. So
The former players are good, and everyone has a different angle.
To listen
He's
to,
hilarious.
He's as funny as heck.
I told him at ESPN, I was like, Johnny, you and I got to get in the box. We'll have like an entertaining match. Give us an entertaining match.
That would actually be more fun than the match itself.
I'll go toe to toe with John McEnroe. He's a blast. I'm entertained.
I mean, he is the ultimate, like, I'm going to say what I want to say.
Yeah, I like it.
Don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's how he's made his money.
Yep.
You know? So was he really for real when he was, like, having all those temper tantrums on the court, or was that just playing?
No, I think he was. I mean, whether he was able to kind of use it to focus to get himself back in the match, I'm sure he figured out how to do that, because not everyone can throw a tantrum and then play well. I mean, that's the key. He was able at some point to kind of collect himself and to win some matches like that. So,
Crazy.
that there's an example of he found what worked within his personality. Whether he got fined or not, I guess he didn't care about that. But
you ever been fined?
Maybe.
Beth, thanks very much.
Of course.
It was awesome having you on.
Yes. And, thanks, guys.
We'll see you guys next week, 6 o'clock, Mountain Standard Time. Wednesday.
Yep.
What did I say?
No,
Wednesday next week.
Wednesday.
And we're going to be talking about bloat. Bloat's very important to dogs. Very important that you understand this. Understand the concept of bloat. We've dealt with bloat for 20 years. I've taught many people about it, and I've had a number of those people come back and successfully save their dog's life successfully. I'm slurring my words.
Dude, that was one. No, you literally had a quarter.
Successfully saved the dog's life. It's a serious subject. We're going to talk about it in depth next week. Make sure you tune in at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Thanks for focusing on us. And
we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, I always had to be careful.
Holy shit. I could go on for like 2 more
I
hours.
know. See it. So I feel like
yet?
No.